Hey guys, welcome to Lessons in Velocity. Today we're talking about predicting performance with velocity. This is for all sports. Today, like I said, we're talking about monitoring progress with velocity as opposed to the old max loads. Everybody in the past has either chosen to do 1 RMs or 3 RMs. With velocity, you can do away with that, which is, like if you're a strength and conditioning coach and you're coaching soccer players, maxing them out is not necessarily any benefit at all. Obviously we need to know that our progression scheme is working some way, but without hurting the athletes. Even in weightlifting, we're finding that we're no longer I'm no longer, not we as in every weightlifting coach in America, or Australia, but we're no longer maxing out the squats. We're using velocity, and I'm going to show you how. So we're going to monitor progress without maximal loads. We're going to monitor the effectiveness of our taper. So we're going to look at, is supercompensation actually working in this case? Or for a lot of you, especially for us weight class sports, is the cut hurting the athlete? So great way to do it is by checking velocity. That's essential for in-season progress. Football players, soccer players, you don't want to get your athletes when they're entering the playoffs, you don't want them to be the weakest and slowest of the season. You want them to be their fastest and strongest. So we're going to prevent injuries because we no longer have to max out. And the whole 1 RM or 3 RM, debate is useless, and I'm going to show you why. There are 2 ways to monitor progress without maxing out, and that's to pick a max out minimum velocity. So we're going to work up to a 1 RM, but at somewhere between 0.3 and 0.4 meters per second, which is somewhere between 85 and 95% of the 1 RM is what that equates to. Normally we stick between 0.35 and 0.4 because we don't want to get anywhere near that max out velocity. So which we can most of our athletes, because they're so seasoned, can go all the way to 0.18 meters per second. So we want to stay as far away from that as possible. So 85% and above is going to ensure that we have a similar neuromuscular engagement. Meaning, if you go below 80%, let's say you're at 75%, the neuromuscular system is going to perceive that slightly different than it would be if it's 85% and above. So maybe 75% of your 1 RM is getting faster, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your actual 1 RM is improving, your absolute strength. However, 85% and above, if that's getting better, you can rest assured that your 1 RM is getting better. And we have found it's better to know than to actually find out if you're hitting, if your 1 RM is indeed increasing. The other way is to pick an absolute to monitor. So, at the beginning of the season, get a baseline at 85% or 90%, whatever you want to do, and then stick with that number. So you're going to get a baseline, design a progression of your choice, and then retest maybe every 6 weeks, somewhere between 6 and 12 weeks, and make sure that number is getting faster. So if you find that 85% of your 1 RM is, say, 180 kilograms, and you get the baseline, and at the baseline you're pushing 85% at 0.45 meters per second or 0.4 meters per second, and then you retest that same weight, that same 180 kilograms, and now you're moving that weight at 0.45. Well, now you have definitely gotten stronger. That 85% is now moving at the same speed as an 80%. So, and on down the line, you've gotten better. So here's a case study. This is when we were going with an absolute. This is the 2021 Junior Pan American Championships. This was in Colombia, and this is Ryan Grimsland, my top athlete. He actually won that. And this is 180 kilograms was a PR that led to a change in strategy. The PR velocity, that is. So let's look at the video, and then I'll explain some more. coming weeks, we're going to talk about different ways that we use data. First one is how we used velocity. So we were warming Ryan up the day before he competed. Right there, 160 kilos, I knew that he was looking good. At 170, he was looking even better. But here's what gave it away. At 180, he had, I think it was a .44, and that let me know that he was better than he competed last time. So what we did is now we changed our strategy. When I realized that he was in great shape, what we did is we decided to go really conservative on the snatch. So, because there was no point. We knew we had this big bomb of a clean and jerk because I knew his legs were strong. Strong legs will equate to higher clean and jerks. Not necessarily better snatches. Snatches they rely totally on velocity and the movement, but clean and jerk is directly related to how strong someone is. So that told me to be conservative. So what we did is that we opened up at 125 kilograms in snatch, which is lower than we had, opened up previously, and we ended up going 125 and 128, ended at 130, and then our clean and jerk opener we dropped it way down, and so we went from 100. We opened up at 150 kilos because that was guaranteed, setting us up for the gold medal. And then we made a huge jump because we knew we could. So what we did is we went in the back, in between his 150 and 160. And while other people were going, we hit 155. Then we came back out, hit 160. Then we did the same thing, came in the back, did a heavy pull, and then went back out and hit 167. So we let the data, the velocity, help us just, decide an actual strategy, and the strategy worked out, gold medal. So, and we use, when we're on the road, a lot of times we use the flex because, number one, I don't want to risk getting my gym aware lost or stolen, especially in a foreign country. So I take my flex, and to me, they're both, obviously gym aware is the gold standard, but flex will do the job for what I need it to do. Now, the other one is we just, like this past weekend, 2 weekends ago, this past weekend, I've been traveling, so my brain is a little foggy, but we decided to go with a minimum velocity because, number one, we've gone up a weight class, and so we knew he was way stronger. We hadn't tested his 1RM at all on the front squat. We've been sticking with velocity. Normally with the front squat, it is velocity based 100%, meaning that it's where we really work on certain different qualities of strength, normally in the strength speed category, and which really helps to increase his absolute strength. But that's another video in the future. So we set the minimum at 0.4 meters per second, and we found that by the way, we have found that at 80%, this is looking at our athletes, that's around 0.45 meters per second on average. At 85%, it's 0.4 meters per second. So we set that minimum at the 85% that I said earlier is what you need to make sure that the neuromuscular system perceives it as it's the same as it would at 1RM. So, and at 90% for our guys, it's 0.35 meters per second. Failure is going to be somewhere between 0.18 and 0.2 meters per second, normally in the front squat with our athletes. So let's look at the video, and then I will explain the rest. Here's the 200 kilograms. Listen. One. They're in trouble. As you did you hear I said, they're in trouble, which tells you that I knew right then when I saw 200 kilograms, which was a 10 kilogram PR, 22 pounds for all of you kilogram challenge people out there, metric system challenge. But as soon as he hit 200 kilograms, that speed, I knew that he was good for something extraordinary. Because think about it, that's the most he's ever done by 10 kilograms, and still he's moving it near a speed of 85%, somewhere between 85 to 87%, because it was slightly below. We were shooting for 0.4, but at 0.39 meters per second, so then we stopped. And then this is what happened. This is 138 kilograms. 304 pounds. Easy.
Grimsland gets the down signal. Waste no time with a go lift. Well done.
Let's go. 182 kilograms, 400 pounds. Lifetime.
Let's go.
All right. So, obviously the 200 kilograms wasn't a true PR. At 0.4 meters per second, it's nowhere close. So, but we are getting ready for the Olympics. This kid is like one of the top 2 athletes in America as we approach the Olympics from 2024. It's going to be in Paris. So there's no need for me to take him to failure, and I'm not going to. So we're going to stay somewhere at the slowest velocity will be 0.35 meters per second for him. So we're not ever going to, because we don't have to. He's plenty strong. He's efficient. So there's no point. So once again, this led us to be conservative on the snatch. He's good, somewhere around 150. He's actually done 156 kilograms from blocks. So, but there's no point. Once again, we're getting ready. We're looking at a quadrennial. We're looking at 2 years down the road at this point. There's no point in maxing out if we don't have to. We're going to go a little bit at a time so we can keep this boy from getting hurt. And velocity is the only thing that allows us to do that. He never misses, especially in the squat in training, because we use the data that's directly relayed to us from either the gym aware or the flex. In conclusion, guys, the uses for velocity when it comes to monitoring progress. And monitor progress without maxing out. Avoid meaningless misses and unnecessary fatigue. Like when you go to, whether you're doing 3RM or 1RM, you are really pushing the body to that last, nth degree. So you're at that point when you're at the, at the tip top of your progress, you are also at risk of injury. And we're also, whether you get injured or not, you're still getting massively fatigued. Anyone who's ever maxed out a squat knows. And if you're a weightlifter, the squat is not what you compete at. We need our fatigue for snatching and clean jerking. If you're playing football, you're not a powerlifter or a weightlifter. So there's no point in actually maxing out if you don't have to. Use velocity to monitor progress. In-season progressions, I know Coach Ken, my good friend, who was the Carolina Panthers head strength and conditioning coach, that's an American football team, and he used velocity and he used chains to progress his athletes, so that his goal was his athletes during the playoffs were hitting their prime for the year as far as strength and speed. And so the chains were good because they were deloading in the bottom. So when they're at that extreme range of motion, they were unloading, so taking some stress off. So 2 birds with 1 stone with using velocity and with chains. So you can use you can use bands to facilitate type 2 fiber recruitment and to alleviate stress on the joints, like I just talked about, at max range of motions. And you don't need necessarily percentages at all. Simply use the velocity to monitor. So anyway, hope this helps. If you want to learn more about GymAware, there's the websites, gymaware.com, or you can go to flexstronger.com. You can email me any questions. Now GymAware has graciously given me my own email to help answer any questions that you guys might have, because I love doing it. So travis@gymaware.com. You can also use code MASH5 for 5% off GymAware or Flex Stronger if you guys choose to do so. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you learned a lot.